Hello class, my name is Jeff Whitey, your instructor for the PGM course, and I wanted to go over today earned value management and how to look at the calculations for earned value management. So earned value management, as you'll see through the cursor text, discusses what is the true status of a project, what are the problems, what can be done to be fixed. Really what this is a snapshot in time. All you're looking at is based on some variables for both costs and scheduling numbers, you'll figure out where the project is. But you're going to need some more information going forward than just this. But this is a good starting point to start knowing where to ask your questions. There's three main variables that you need to know for all different earned value management calculations. It's planned value, earned value, and actual cost. What I did also with this slide is I gave you the older known terms for all three. It used to be called, like for planned value, budget cost for work scheduled. Now for planned value, this is just your budget up to the certain week of time for that earned value. So if over the first 3 weeks of the budget or the project you had a budget of $400, $200, and $300, you'd be looking at a total PV of $900 in week 3. For earned value, what you're looking at is the percentage complete to the total budget. When you multiply those two together, you'll have your earned value. So as I put in the example, if you're 50% complete for a $1,400 budget, you're at $700 earned value. And actual cost is going to be the actual materials and costs associated with those materials up to that point. Materials can include any kind of resource, including personnel, actual materials used physically, or even intrinsic value. So there's three main calculations that you're going to know for cost status. Cost variance, CV, is one of the more popular ones, which is earned value minus actual cost. Your CPI is a ratio to help give you an idea of if your cost is above or below budget. And you can also figure out cost to completion by dividing AC by EV and multiplying that by your total budget. For schedule status, what you're looking at is whether you're on track or not for your timeline. The scheduled variance is known as EV minus PV, but more commonly used with scheduled status is SPI, which is EV divided by PV, which will give you a ratio depending on if you're above or under timeline. And lastly is scheduled variance in weeks. Take your scheduled variance divided by your average weekly plan value or your average weekly budget, which is just your budget divided by weeks, and that'll give you how many weeks ahead or behind schedule you are. So to give you kind of example, so if you had this scenario where you had an EV of 1,000, a planned value of 800, and an AC of 1,200, your cost variance, or EV minus AC, is going to be a minus $200, which means that you're $200 over budget. And your cost performance index, which is 1,000 divided by 1,200, would be 5.6, or roughly 0.833. Means that you're 83% to the scheduled budget, which means that you're roughly about 17% over budget. For scheduled status, your SV would be EV minus PV, or 1,000 minus 800 is $200. You're ahead of schedule. Or if you look at the SPI, you're going to be 1,000 divided by 800, or 1 over 1/4, or 1.25. That means that you're roughly about 25% ahead of schedule. Now with that said, a couple things you want to take in consideration when you start looking at your participation in your discussion boards, any kind of exercises, your portfolio projects, thinking assignments, any of that kind of stuff is you've got to make sure that the numbers are not just there to give you the right answer. It's kind of weird saying that, but if you have something that is, like we just showed, a CV of minus 200 or 0.833, and your scheduled variance was plus $200 or a 1.25, what that's telling you is you're over budget, but you're ahead of schedule, which means that you might have actually spent the money already and accelerated your project. Those are the kind of things you got to ask when you look at these kind of calculations. You don't know all the answers just looking at these calculations. They're just a good starting point for where you are supposed to be and what kind of questions you need to ask your stakeholders going forward. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I look forward to hearing from you in this module.